In the 20th century, the boundary between the stadium and the state blurred as sports emerged as a potent tool for diplomacy and national reconciliation. We explore how athletic competition became a strategic lever for shifting global geopolitical landscapes and healing fractured societies. The process of sports diplomacy begins with a diplomatic freeze, followed by a low-stakes athletic invitation, leading to high-level secret negotiations, and culminating in a formal state-level treaty or public reconciliation event that signals a shift in international relations. In 1971, the U.S. table tennis team received an unexpected invitation to visit the People's Republic of China during the World Championships in Nagoya, Japan, effectively ending a 22-year diplomatic silence between the two nations since the 1949 revolution. Conversely, the 1995 Rugby World Cup in South Africa utilized an internal sporting event to bridge deep-seated racial divides, transforming the Springbok jersey from a symbol of apartheid-era white supremacy into a unifying emblem for the post-apartheid rainbow nation. The core transformation occurs when sports provide a face-saving mechanism, allowing leaders like Richard Nixon and Mao Zedong to initiate contact without appearing weak, as the public focus remains on the competition rather than the sensitive underlying political concessions. This diplomatic process is refined through formal state visits and the signing of communiques, such as the 1972 Shanghai Communiqué, which solidified the thaw initiated by the ping-pong team, proving that sports can act as the catalyst for structural geopolitical change. This simplified model shows how sports act as a non-threatening, soft power conduit, bypassing traditional bureaucratic gridlock to establish direct lines of communication between hostile governments, creating a public environment conducive to secret, high-level back-channel diplomatic negotiations. While sports diplomacy consumes minimal physical resources, the cost is often measured in political capital, as leaders risk domestic backlash by engaging with perceived enemies, a tension that remains difficult to quantify but is essential to the diplomatic process. Global sports diplomacy flows from major host cities like Johannesburg, Nagoya, and Pyeongchang, connecting nations across the Pacific and Atlantic, creating a network of neutral grounds where state actors can interact away from the pressures of their home capitals. Comparing the 1971 U.S.-China opening with the 1995 South African reconciliation reveals a key trade-off: the former focused on external geopolitical alignment to counter Soviet influence, while the latter focused on internal nation-building to prevent civil conflict after apartheid. While the carbon footprint of hosting global tournaments is massive due to travel and construction, the emissions of political tension are theoretically reduced, though historians debate if this environmental cost is justified by the temporary nature of the resulting peace. The local impact of these events is often profound, as the influx of international media and tourism can temporarily cleanse the air of political stagnation, though critics note that these events often mask underlying issues like systemic poverty or authoritarian control. The energy balance of these diplomatic efforts is often precarious, as the momentum generated by a successful sporting event can quickly dissipate if not followed by concrete legislative action, leading to a net loss of public trust when expectations remain unmet. Documented benefits include the normalization of relations, the opening of trade corridors, and the symbolic inclusion of marginalized groups, all of which provide a foundation for long-term stability that would be impossible to achieve through traditional, rigid, and slow-moving diplomacy. Significant drawbacks include the risk of sports washing, where regimes use global events to distract from human rights abuses, and the concern that these gestures are merely performative, failing to address the fundamental structural inequalities that drive conflict in the first place. Historians remain divided on the efficacy of these methods. Some argue that sports are essential for breaking ice, while others maintain that secret back-channel negotiations are the true drivers of change, with sports serving only as a convenient public theater. With over 100 million viewers for the 1995 rugby final and thousands of athletes participating in unified Korean efforts, the aggregate reach of these events is undeniable, even if the long-term geopolitical footprint remains a subject of intense academic debate. In South Africa, the ANC government strategically utilized the 1995 Rugby World Cup to co-opt the Springbok emblem, successfully signaling to the white minority that they had a place in the new democratic state, as outlined in the 1996 Constitution. The stated benefit of this policy was the creation of a rainbow nation identity, which provided a necessary psychological pivot for a country emerging from decades of institutionalized racism, fostering a temporary but vital sense of national unity and shared purpose. Critics argue that this reconciliation was largely superficial, as it failed to dismantle the underlying economic structures of apartheid, leaving the majority of the black population in poverty while the symbolic victory of the rugby team dominated the national narrative. The primary stakeholders are the citizens, who gain a sense of national pride, and the political elite, who gain legitimacy, while the environment and the marginalized often bear the costs of the massive infrastructure spending required to host these global spectacles. Ultimately, while sports cannot solve deep-seated geopolitical or racial conflicts on their own, they serve as a unique, powerful tool for signaling intent and creating the necessary space for peace, proving that the pitch is often where the future begins.